So welcome. Um, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Katie Friedman. You can put your videos on, whatever you're more comfortable with. So welcome everybody. Really good to be here tonight with Ruth for this session. We've been running a lot of webinars this month as part of our Flexible Working People September Career Reset. And it's just been really a great opportunity to see people from our community and to kind of build more of a relationship and to be helping people with some of the things that they're struggling with, whether that's finding a job, doing a career, making a career pivot or a change, kind of exploring what's next. Optimus Coach Academy is one of our partners, Flexible Working People partners. We've been working, Ruth and I, together for a couple of years now. And we've had quite a lot of our community go through the academy. We were just talking about it, and we train into either a career in coaching or just to use their coaching qualification that they get through Optimus in their own careers, because obviously coaching has massive benefits in terms of your own career and career progression. But tonight we're not focusing on that. We're really focusing on it more as a career change. And really just breaking down what you need to know. Ruth is going to share with you. Ruth's the CEO and founder of Optimus. Ruth, you can say hello and I can stop talking. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, it's really lovely to see you guys here tonight. And to anyone who's watching it on replay as well. So I'm the CEO and founder of Optimus Coach Academy. So we've been going since 2019. And before I founded this business, I do it alongside now, I've had my own coaching business for about a decade as well. So my background is education and educational leadership. And now it is very much as a CEO and founder, although I do a lot of the training too. So I'm a best-selling author of 2 books, speaker, still a coach, mentor, and trainer as well.
Yeah. So we're really lucky to have Ruth as one of our partners because she comes with an enormous amount of experience, obviously written a couple of books, and can share and impart a lot of great knowledge. And so, as I said, tonight's session is about really just exploring whether coaching is the right thing for you, and if it is, whether Optimus is indeed the right partner for you, and what Optimus and Ruth do differently, maybe that other coaching partners and training don't do, training offerings. So really that's what we're going to do tonight. So Ruth's just given you a brief introduction to her background, but I thought it might be nice, Ruth, because I love hearing your story, for you just to share a little bit more before we get into it about your journey, because obviously a lot of people do want to pivot, and you come from a background in education which really lends itself beautifully to coaching, but people come from all different backgrounds. So it'd be good just to hear your story, and then we can kind of explore as we go through some of the other backgrounds that people are transitioning from.
Definitely. So I think Steve Jobs said it, but I mean, he probably borrowed it from someone else. That when we look back, it all makes sense, even though it doesn't at the time. So from about the age of 14, when I first think I knew what psychology was, I knew that I was really interested in psychology and how people work and understanding a bit more, because I think I was, probably a typical teenager, kind of working out my place in the world. I didn't know then that I was neurodivergent. I know that now, but didn't really understand myself and other people, and wanted to learn more. So that started off really a lifelong love of psychology. And I went and studied psychology and management at university. About 6 years afterwards, it's a bit of a squiggly journey even to get to university. And I knew that I really liked, and I combined it with business actually, because I knew that there was something about business that always resonated as well. So it's like business and psychology. Those were 2 things that I was really interested in. Marketing, like all of that. That was what I studied. Went off, traveled, came back and started working in recruitment. And I liked that. And I was really interested in supporting people, helping people get jobs. But also then I was kind of really wanting to get picked to do more on the psychology side and the psychometric side, but never saying. I wasn't putting my hand up. So I was just hoping that one day somebody in the team would say, oh my gosh, Ruth's got a psychology degree, maybe she can help. And obviously that didn't.
We use it. Yeah.
Never happened. Yeah. Like we're sitting there silently hoping that someone's going to understand what is in our mind, and they don't. And then we get disappointed. So that was definitely a big lesson for me. Then I went off and I went into education, and I still had this like worm in my head that I wanted to be a coach. And I remember in my 20s being at a festival and meeting someone he's a coach and inspirational speaker. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm a coach." And we were celebrating his first client. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is what this guy does." So it was still there for me, but I had no idea how I'd make it happen. And then through my career in education, I became a leader. And I started managing my own team and realizing that my methods weren't necessarily that effective, and went back to coaching and learning coaching and building my coaching skills. And from there, decided to retrain as a coach after doing lots of coaching at work. And in 11 years ago, well, no, actually 10 years ago, 10 years ago this week, I made the decision that because I was working, I was a senior leader in a busy London secondary school. I didn't get to see my daughter on her first birthday at all, only when she was asleep. And I thought something has to change. And I knew that I could coach. I've been coaching quite a lot at work. I've been coaching externally to work in leadership and doing some business coaching and some things in my on my maternity leave. And I was like, right, this is it. I'm going to set up my coaching business. So nearly a decade, well, just over a decade ago, I made that decision and started my coaching business, and initially started doing career change and confidence coaching, and that evolved. And then, as I said before, in 2019, I started Optimus, and that brought together psychology and business. During those decades, I got a master's in psychology, postgrad in coaching as well. So, it all made sense, but I wouldn't say it made sense along the way. And I think I've had people as well say, how can a teacher run a business like this? And I think we can get into such stereotypes and assumptions about people by their job role. So one thing I'd say to you, if you're on here and whatever your background is the big thing about being a coach is about really being interested in people, and also being able to understand that development isn't linear or fixed, and that we can always build and grow.
Great, thank you. So if you're happy to comment in the box, I would love, and I'm sure Ruth would, just to see what you're currently doing. Just let's get a sense of maybe some of your backgrounds, what you're currently working in. Are you looking to, what are you thinking? I can't ask you to type too much because I'm going to ask you to listen, but just type in kind of what your current role is, because that would be quite useful to see. So that's really interesting. And I think you're right. We can't stereotype people, and even saying, well, what's the type of person who pivots into this? They're all types of people. It's probably more about your characteristics than it is about your job. So that's really interesting. So I think also when you say the word coach, I feel like it's such a small word, but there's just so much to it. And I'm kind of going off piece here, but I would just love to hear from you. What is coaching? What actually is coaching? And it feels like everyone's a coach nowadays. Life coach, a career coach, let's just talk about what it means to be a coach and to have a career as a coach.
Okay, so I'm going to use this ICF, International Coaching Federation definition, and I'm going to talk about that more. So what they say is it's partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And what I love about this is it's partnering, it's a partnership, it's relational, it is creative, it's thought-provoking, it's about decision-making, it's about problem solving, it's about solutions, and it's personal and professional. So that is what pure coaching is. So the ICF, International Coaching Federation, are kind of the biggest body in accreditation terms in the coaching industry. But coaches got many different kind of facets. Like my husband is a football coach for our girls' football teams. He's not a qualified football coach. I think he's becoming one. We might have a swim coach or a tennis coach or a job coach. And actually, so the word coaching really, I think, means encouraging and supporting.
Yeah.
It's about performance and growth. And we know that it isn't a protected term. So people might say, I'm a coach, and they might mean they're a mentor or a speaker or an advisor or a consultant. So all of those are really, really valid roles. However, pure coaching is much more about you helping somebody else find their answers and unlock their answers by really like looking at their mind, I'd say looking at their emotions, their heart, looking at their gut, and helping them to get new insight so they can build new neural pathways and actually make lasting change. So yes, there are lots, it seems like there are lots of coaches. Interestingly, there are lots of coaches who the coaching industry is still growing, sorry. So it does seem there are lots of coaches, but the industry is growing, especially for coaches who are accredited and certified. But yeah, I mean, current state of play is my cat could decide that they were a coach and they could use that term, but quite scarily, you could call yourself an accountant without being qualified as well. So it's not the only industry and a counsellor. So it's not the only industry where the term's not protected.
And that's really, I think, an issue because it should be protected. Because I think you shouldn't really be able to call yourself a coach without, or a counsellor or an accountant, because I feel like they are professions, and you need to have a qualification in order to call yourself that, and to be taken seriously, and to, if you're going to be working with people's minds and careers or whatever, you need to have a qualification. And that's obviously what you do. You give people all the tools to actually equip themselves to do a good job and be a credible coach, as opposed to just calling themselves a coach. So let's talk about the kinds of qualities or characteristics, maybe, or the backgrounds and experiences that you have got or that you've seen coming through Optimus, because I think that would be quite interesting for people to hear.
And this is a really interesting one, because I think there has to be that interest in people. So if you're not interested in people, if you're not curious about people, probably not, coaching probably isn't going to be for you, because you're going to be working with lots of different people, and that ability to suspend judgment, and again, you're gonna build this too. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to judge people, right? That doesn't mean that your brain is not going to make assumptions and all of those things. But actually that ability to suspend judgment, empathy, actually work, because we know AI, and you can have a ChatGPT coach. We know that is not as effective as a human, but we know AI is evolving, and we're looking at what do coaches do beyond AI. That empathy, that emotional connection, that makes a real difference. And actually, when we find that people who are able to build connection effectively with clients, and have more effective coaching relationships. I'd say so. Curiosity, empathy, listening. Now that's a really interesting one, because I have trained some amazing coaches who I would say were not the best listeners when they came in. So they might have been really insightful, and they might have been really good at spotting patterns, which is another great quality of a coach, that you can see different things and you can spot patterns and help support people to get that insight. But maybe their listening wasn't as good, but what they had is this desire to be better and grow. So there's something about that growth mindset and this ability that you perceive that you have, where you can get better. So, and I would say that is really the key. Like, are you interested in people? Do you have the mindset that you can improve and get better? Are you empathetic and curious? And are you actually committed to your own growth? Like, do you want to do some of that hard work? Because actually, when we're looking at coaching, we are looking at ourselves often. And that means that we're looking at the parts that maybe we are not that happy about. And I'm not saying that you suddenly become, I've been doing this for a long time now, and suddenly I'm like this perfect person and my life is all sorted. No. And I would say that sometimes I hear that, like I hear people saying, I can't be a life coach because, my relationship's not in a good place, or this or that. And I'm like, okay, a life coach isn't someone who tells you everything to do, who's like, I have got an A star in life and I am going to tell you how to have a perfect life. That is not a life coach. I don't know what that is. But a life coach would be someone...
A guru.
A guru, yeah. I mean, if you find that person, tell me. I'd love to meet them and see what they say. How do you get your kids to tidy their rooms? No idea. But actually, it's, you know, a life coach is someone who helps you navigate through those times to thrive personally and professionally. So actually that vulnerability and that it being okay that, you know, as a coach, your life isn't perfect. Actually, people are going to resonate more with that. They're going to build that relationship more. So an eagerness to learn, an eagerness to help people, an eagerness to make a difference. And from backgrounds wise, we would find that I'd say about 80% of people who come on board and train with Optimus are from professional backgrounds. We get quite a lot of people from healthcare, which is probably testament to the NHS.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like, you know, but also like it's to a traditionally, I say, caring profession, you to quite a lot of
Teachers.
care, teachers, social workers, and then we get quite a lot of people from marketing and advertising, which I think is quite interesting. So I think that is because, again, they've got that interest in people that has made them go.
Yeah.
And then we get, you know, lawyers, accountants, consultants as well. Quite a lot of consultants
who never really wanted to do what they did, and now would really go.
Exactly. Yeah, they did what they thought they should do.
They wanted. So I feel like a lot of those types of professionals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we get, you know, we've had actresses, we've had gardeners, landscape gardeners, we've had so we've had a wide variety, but those people tend to be in those roles. I'd say in terms of ages, again, we've had people who've been as young as 20 do the training. And I think we had someone who's 77. That was the oldest. So it's a real range of people. But yeah, tend to be from a bit of a professional background. But because at Optimus, we recognize that coaching is a skill rather than an academic qualification, we do have, I think, a wider range of different people than other sessions.
Okay, so let's get into the bit more of the nitty-gritty, because I want to get into the actual coaching in terms of, you know, we talked about needing to be credible to have a good accreditation, why that's important, and what you do within the training. So what does Optimus offer? What is the accreditation? And kind of 3 questions here, but you'll cover it all, I'm sure, which is, you know, why is it different to any others that anyone on here might be considering?
Yeah, okay. So one of the things when I set up Optimus in 2019 was that I'd seen a lot of coach training schools that were very, very focused on like transactional models. So transactional models are like grow, okay? So they're great for that first conversation, but actually coaching has evolved. And so what we wanted to do at Optimus is create our own framework that was flexible and client-centered and went beyond the transactional. So it's more transformational. So really what that is there, we've got our own trademarked holistic coaching framework that is whole person. So you're looking at the head, you're looking at the brain, you're looking at cognition, neuroscience, you're looking at emotions, you're looking at the body and somatics and the nervous system, you're looking at behavior and transactional analysis and the behavioral change, which is really the core of coaching. You're looking at context and how that influences the client and what they perceive as possible. And you're looking at identity. So actually that whole approach, which is flexible depending on the client, means, you know, it gives you more tools and approaches, and it means that you can coach on a much deeper level. And we use like evidence-based approaches, so it's very much rooted in science. However, it is very practical, because for me, this is all about how are we able to get people to be great coaches who can go out and coach day in, day out. And so that for me is, how do we make it practical? How do we give people lots of scenarios, lots of practice, lots of feedback? And the feedback that we've had from our students is that, the course is incredibly practical, but also has the theory, also has the research, which makes them credible. So I think that is a big part. So wait a minute. So the first question was like, yeah, what makes us different, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I can't remember.
Why is it important to have an accreditation? What makes you different?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that we talked about being a coach, but I think that having this accreditation, and there's also different types of accreditation. So I thought it might be worth you just touching on those too.
So I think that what makes it different is that, actually, in terms of accreditation, because we know coach is not a protected word, and because in 2020 we had a flood of coaches on the market, it actually accelerated the need for accreditation in the market. Now, the market is most mature in the US, so it's been going the longest in the US, and there, to work with organizations, you need to be accredited. Now, the US, it's the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, that is the biggest globally. However, when they set up, the EMCC set up, and they are European centric, so they are mainly in Germany, Benelux, and France. So there's still that focus a bit there because they set up as a alternative to the Americans. So they do very similar work. They're both very credible organizations. And then we have the third kind of really recognized and reputable accreditation body, which is the Association of Coaching. Now, we're accredited by all three. I would say, in reality, the EMCC or the ICF, if you want to work in the UK, if you want to work with US companies, the ICF. If you are doing work in mainland Europe, maybe the EMCC. But what you get from having that, it doesn't mean that it's a license to print money, but it means that you have credibility. It means you can work with organizations. It means you can get listed on coaching directories. It means you can work as an associate coach. It means that you can work on coaching platforms. So it is, it's like a certificate to get through to the next stage. So I would definitely look at those bodies. And, there are hundreds of accreditation bodies, but these are the ones, they're all not for profit. They all do research. They're all like pretty pioneering. They've all got some great minds there. So actually, they are wanting to move the coaching industry forward in a good way. So to be affiliated with them, it makes it really cool. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if someone watching or listening really wants to become a coach and, they're thinking, can they run this alongside in terms of the training alongside an existing job that they're doing? Let's talk maybe a bit more about the practicalities of the coaching, like what are the courses and how long does it take people to train?
Yeah. So we have two courses. So the ICF, as I've said, are a US-based organization. So I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'm going to say 2022, but it may be a different year, 21 or 2023. They rebranded all of their courses. They used to call them initials. They love initials in that acronym. They changed it to level 1, 2, and 3, which obviously confuses everyone in the UK because I think level 3 is GCSE. It's not the equivalent. Yeah, these are practical qualifications. So it's not the equivalent. But the level 1, which is our associate diploma, we have about 4 months of training, but that will take about 6 months for you to get certified from start to finish. We run cohorts and we always do a daytime and an evening. And then
So when you say 6 months, what's the time? What's the commitment?
So 6 months is 14 sessions of 3 hours a week. On top of that, you have to submit some recordings, you have some one-to-one mentoring, and then you have your live observation. So 3 hours a week, either on a Monday evening or a Tuesday daytime. So we run both. And we find for that diploma, our Monday evening is usually more popular because most people are doing that alongside working.
Okay, that's really accessible.
Yeah. And then we always have a daytime and an evening. We also have our professional diploma, which is 8 months. So that is more in depth. So it's taught at a deeper standard. It's 28 sessions. So it's over 8 months. And that is, we always do a daytime and an evening. And over the winter, so it was our October one, we do a Saturday morning as well. The reason that we don't do it in the summer is because our team want to enjoy the summer, so that we go October to May, so it finishes in May, That means that we don't have to do any Saturday teaching, like
I love that.
June, July, August, September, we're all off. And that usually is your peak of, I don't know if anyone else is like this in the UK, that's usually like your peak of socializing. Then you get back into it, start to hibernate again for until the next year.
Totally. So just a quick question there. If you do the associate for 6 months and then you decide that you want to get the professional, can you just can you just add a bit on? Can't think of the right word.
You can do an upgrade course. So rather than going, I'm going to do that and that, we do like a 4-month upgrade course as well. And we've just started those this year. And we've just got our second one running now. So those are
okay. What's level 3?
So level 3 is if you want to be a master certified coach, which I'm one, which basically means you have to have 2,500 hours of coaching. I've got about 11,000 now, actually. 2,500 hours of coaching. I think you have to have 300 hours of training. It might be 200. And then you have to have like your recordings listened to and marked at a particular standard. So that is usually, I think you have to have been coaching for at least 5 years to get there. So people would usually do that, like, again, we started in 2019. So we have not had anyone reach master coach level yet from our training, but I think we'll have our first next year. So again, they've had that 5 years, they've got that experience, and then they could do a level 3. We actually don't run a level 3 yet at Optimus, pretty much because we don't have those people. And everyone who wants to become a master certified coach always wants me to mentor them. It's quite a tough process. So if you are thinking about becoming a master certified coach, I might recommend that you go to someone else, but they always still come to me, and I do that with them. But so that is kind of meant to be for that next step. But I'd say there's probably about 1,750 master certified coaches worldwide. And, it's thinking about, do you need that? I run a coach training school, so it makes sense for me. But it's something you might.
If anyone has got, sorry, Ruth, to interrupt. If anyone has got any questions as we're going, do pop them in the chat box and be interactive. And don't be shy, because we can cover them. We're quite a smallish group. So if you've got any questions that I'm not asking, or you want Ruth to cover anything in more detail, just pop them in the chat and we can try and cover them. So just on that, if you've done your level 1, and you've got your first level 1 accreditation, can you immediately start working as a coach and building your coaching and start building your coaching business or practice? Well, if you don't have to have a qualification anyway, you can obviously, but what support do you give people in that side? So I think there's 2 sides to this, isn't there? There's becoming a coach and getting a qualification, and then there's actually what am I going to do with it? So before we move on, it would be just good to understand the different routes that people can take. So, working in corporate, working with individuals, etc. Just be good for you to sort of share that piece.
Yeah. So if you want to start a business, like as a coach, because you can train and then get a job employed as a coach. There's always that route that you can get employed. And if you're thinking about that, people are employed in education, in the NHS, in public sector, in private sector, but your past experience is probably going to be important there. So you can do that. But if you're wanting to start a business, obviously that's a new set of skills. So we support you in terms of, we've got a business online program, we've got mentoring, we've got Q&As, we have immersive days as well, because we know that is a different skill set. But it takes some, empathy is important in business. I say growth is important. Probably resilience is even more important as well. So if you are, thinking about having a business as a coach, yes, you can work with organizations. That is often, I say about 70% of our graduates work with organizations in some form, or you can work with individuals, or both. And 90% of people who are coaches do not only coach, they might do coaching and they might run workshops, they might do talks, they might run courses, they might do a bit of mentoring, they might do some training, they might do some advisory. So usually it's a bit of a portfolio career, including coaching. And coaching may be the center, but obviously thinking about how you get people to understand and get to know you and build. So yes, organizations. yes, individuals, lots of different routes. So it might be that you work as an associate. So again, that's often thinking about your past experience and the coaching. Like we have got people who've gone through Optimus who now run their own companies with associates, thinking of one in particular that's in financial services, one who's in education. So again, past experience plays in there. You might work on one of these coaching platforms. So those can be a great way to get your hours up, get your experience up. Maybe don't pay as well as some other things, but those can be great as well. Or you might be going out and getting your own clients. So that is about business development. That is about really understanding who you are as a coach, your target audience, creating a proposition, and selling. So there's lots and lots of different routes. And probably lots of new things that we need to share as well.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more about the support that you offer. So in terms of if they were to set up a business, like, because it's more than coaching, what you do, you then help them, don't you, to set up the business and give them coaching. They're part of a cohort. So what does the support around the coaching actual qualification look like?
So in terms of the business support, so there's an online program there. So people can access that whenever, because we feel like some people, literally, some people on the associate and the professional, like our associate May finished this week, and lots of those people already have paying clients. Yeah. So they're, and obviously, as long as you're honest about your qualifications and everything else, it's still ethical. But yeah, we have that online program. We have Q&A with me. We also have an ability to send me messages via WhatsApp whenever people want. I only ask them Monday to Thursday, but we have that ability. And then we have marketing Q&A as well. And then we have these kind of like these immersive days where we really focus on you getting stuff done, because we know the most important thing in terms of business is business development. And that is the thing that so many coaches do not do. Now, if you think back to my background at the beginning, I said I worked in recruitment and business development. It was back in the days of being on the phone. So early noughties, that was just on the phone. Now, it may not be that you do that now, but you do need to think about how you're getting in front of people. So it might be networking, it might be speaking, it might be going to events, it might be social media, it might be on the phone. That can still work. But it's, we want to really support people to use their coaching skills and to use them long term. And when I look at our graduates, there is that element of tenacity and resilience and probably drive that, some people are determined to make it work, and they will. And some people, maybe it's not their priority to build that business. Maybe they're doing it as a side hustle. Like we have people who are very happy having like 4 or 5 coaching clients a month alongside other things. So you need to really think about what it is that you want. And I would say, and make use of all the business support as well.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. So there's lots of support there. And in terms of helping them decide on their niche, is there workshops and things that you do there?
Yeah. And we look at as well, like your kind of a bit like Donald Miller, building a brand story, like thinking about what makes sense. So, if you've spent 30 years in financial services, unless you really don't want to. So, I'd spent like 15 years in education, something like that, and wasn't a senior leader and had done lots of leadership coaching. That isn't where I went. Now, probably wouldn't make that much sense, but actually I was looking at, my conversations. I just come back off maternity leave, and I was finding that lots and lots of my peers and friends were saying they were struggling with confidence and career options. So that made sense for me to start, because I had that audience. So you're really thinking about, what is my background? What are my skills? What's my experience? And also, who do I have access to? And those are some key points to then do you sort out your target audience and niche. So we definitely
Exactly
about that.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the financial side of this, because I think obviously that's a real key point for everybody, on everybody's mind, which is the cost of training and the what that looks like in terms of financial investment involved in actually getting the qualification. So let's start there. I always ask you about 12 questions in one, so I'm going to stop and ask you that. So what's the financial investment to do the training?
Yeah, so for the associate, it's 3,500 plus VAT. And for the professional, it's 5,750 plus VAT. You can have payment plans for both. And if you're thinking about kind of return on investment, the average return on investment for people who've done coaching training is 5 times what they've invested. I would say that on average, from the data that we've got, most of our people make a lot more than that. Obviously, some people will make less than that, but yeah, that's dependent on the individual.
In how long? With 5 times in how long?
That looked at it over the 2 years after they'd finished the training. So obviously you'd expect that to grow as well.
And obviously it's what people want to put into it, because we've talked about some people wanting to do a side hustle and have 4 or 5 clients, and other people who want to work. This becomes their full-time job and they're building a business and they want their diaries filled. So like anything, I suppose it's as much as you want to put in to building 100%. A business.
Yeah. It's definitely as much as you want to put in. It's what your priorities are as well. Lots of people who come to us, they retrain, they want some flexibility. And this is where I was, right? I had my daughter. I wanted to spend more time with her. Very soon after I made the decision, I had the wonderful gift that I was pregnant with my second daughter. So I wanted to be around for them. I wanted to do, and I know that there's probably quite a few parents in there. I want to do school drop-offs and pickups. Even though now I kind of hate pickup, I'm still really grateful that I can do it. So, I just hate the playground bit. I like everything else about it. It's just chaos there. But we get a lot of people who want to have that flexibility, who want to do something that is meaningful, that they can do long-term, that maybe they can do alongside other things, that they can do as their families grow, or that if they've got caring responsibilities. So lots of different pieces there that kind of fall into the mix.
Yeah, and I think just we're in a world at the minute where the economy is at its lowest and people are struggling with living costs, and actually people are genuinely looking for different ways to earn additional income. So investing in something like coaching and being able to have something that you can do, that you can fall back on, even with a job, and then in time that might be something that you lean on more, the coaching, but it's like something that you can play up or play down once you've got that qualification and use it at any point. So it might be that you choose to do it on evenings and weekends while you've got your job, but then 5 years down the line you've still got that in your back pocket. So I suppose it ebbs and flows in terms of how you want to use it. I mean, we've talked, haven't we, Ruth, about I've been thinking about doing a coaching qualification for a long time, and it's not something that I've decided I'm not doing. It's something that I'm ongoing thinking, because just having that as an additional skill and being able to work with people in a different way. And obviously, in my business, working in recruitment and working with people, helping them with their careers and transitions, like just having that skill could be so powerful. So it's something that we've talked about. So just from a personal point of view, I think you can use coaching in any business that you're in to enhance it. I can't think of any businesses where it wouldn't be in that additional value to have those qualifications. Okay, so that's really, really good. So in terms of realistic investments, we've talked about that and people getting return. What would you say that realistically people could charge as a coach? Like, is that how some people, some coaches, crazy money, and others are like the other end of the spectrum. Like I've had coaches who charge hundreds of, I know someone at the minute is charging thousands for a one-to-one with her. So it's absolutely mental how you get to that level. So I'd just be interested to get your sense of that too.
And it made me laugh because this question, because we had our conference, and we have like an annual conference every year, surprisingly, because it's annual in London. And somebody who was one of the speakers, who was talking about business, we have like old students come back and share. She was saying her hourly rate goes from £0 to £5,000. And I was like, yeah, it kind of does. But I mean, I would say, so the ICF do an annual report of PricewaterhouseCoopers where they survey coaches. For life coaching, it's pretty much between £75 and £150 an hour. Obviously, if you're super, super niche, so I don't know, like if you're working with, I don't know, footballers' wives on, I don't know, then maybe you might be able to charge more, but generally £75 to £150 an hour for life coaching. In organizations, £150 an hour plus. If you're working with the C-suite, it's going to be £500, £1,000 an hour, but they're going to be looking at your past experience. If you're working with middle leaders, probably about £250 an hour plus. Now, people see that and they go, oh my gosh, £100 an hour sounds like it's a lot of money. Well, if I work 40 hours a week and I work 52 hours a year, I'd be making 200K. You're not going to be working 40 hours a week coaching. You will burn out. So I would say the maximum would be like 15 or 20 hours a week. You know, if you're thinking about 15 hours a week over time, you know, if you're just doing that, but you might be doing workshops, group programs, you know, speaking, which can add. So yes, it is like a headline hourly rate, but you know, don't start to think, oh great, for year one I'm going to make 500K. I don't know anyone who has done that. Doesn't mean it's not possible, yeah, but mainly it's going to take some time to build up. But yes, especially if you've got senior level experience and you're working in corporate, you could be getting, I've had people who say to me, I do not tell my friends how much I earn because I'm still slightly embarrassed that anyone pays this to me, because some of those people will earn more as an hourly rate than some of their friends will as a monthly.
What are the most lucrative coaching niches?
Executive coaching. Executive coaching is always going to be really, really lucrative. And then super specific niches. Like if you specialized in, I don't know, okay, so I'm just going to, like, if you specialize in something, you know, you are coaching, you know, a Hollywood actor, yeah, that is, you know, and so again, the confidentiality and things like that.
Specialist skill that's not everyone's doing. So finding something more specialist, which could relate to something that you're doing in your careers that's quite specialist, and then you're like, actually, I can turn this into a coaching business and use all that in, you know, in a very specialist way. So I think the more specialist, probably, the more you can.
The more specialist, the more you can charge, and it will be based on past experience. You know, some people, but there's still this thing, there's a perception that the more expensive you are, the better you are. So some people can get away with that for a short period of time, but they have to be.
I can tell you from experience that I have spent an awful lot of money on a coach and not got the results that the promise was there. So charging a lot is definitely not representative of what the value they bring. So that's a no. But
don't need to.
Yeah. Okay, so look, we've run to 45 minutes, and I do want to I want Ruth to answer one more question before, and then if anyone does have any questions, I don't even know if the chat's working. I've put can people use chat.
I can't see the chat, so I thought you might be able to see.
Okay.
So when you said use chat,
I can see the chat, but no one's chatting, and I've asked people to chat, and they're not chatting.
Sorry to jump. I'm going to jump in verbally. Can't see chat.
Okay, you can't see chat.
So can't ask questions.
Well, okay, so let's do this then, because I can see chat, but I don't know why you can't. If you've got a question, can you come off mute then and just jump in and speak, or come on video, whatever you'd want. But let's not waste the opportunity to ask Ruth some questions if you've got any.
Kirsty's put her hand up as
Kirsty.
Well. Hello, I won't be polite. I just wanted to go back a little bit on the courses, the way that Optimus runs the courses, and cover what's online, what's in person, how does that all work?
Everything is online. So we are an online business. I think, do you know, when we initially set up, we were going to do some in person, some online, and then obviously we know what happened in 2020. But we find that works because it's more flexible for people. So we are all online. We do have an annual event in person every year. That means that we get people from all over the world, which is really nice as well.
Yeah, I think it's just so much more accessible. I mean, I can't imagine everyone but getting into a room on a Monday night anymore. Like, I can't believe we ever did that. That just seems absolutely mad that now you can just do anything online. It's just absolutely game changer, isn't it, in terms of courses, training, and coaching as a profession, because you can coach virtually now. There's very few coaches who say, well, let's have a face-to-face meeting. It's all done virtually, so, which is incredible. All right, any other questions from anyone else who is happy to come and talk or come off camera, whatever you prefer? No?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Manisha.
Hello.
Yay, hello.
Thank you
Nice.
for that background. It's really great to kind of just know what options there are. I think I'm in a similar position. I'm personally at the moment in the education background. So it's kind of, I can relate to a lot of things, and I was just nodding away in the background. I've put up my camera on. But just had a question about in terms of getting into this, and as you said, you support in terms of mentoring, like coaches need mentoring as you're growing as well.
Yeah.
So it's like I could possibly get the accreditation, but it's kind of having that guidance of, as you said, you can either go to niche, you can go into an organization, you can go as a business, but it's kind of finding the right people to have that conversation, to know what you need to do to pursue any of those parts. Is that something that you have any recommendations of networks or anything, or what would you say?
I mean, we do have our alumni network as well. I would say, I always say this to people, like, find people who are doing what you want to do, stalk them, message them, ask them if they'll give you any of their time. Some people will, some people won't, but if you know what you want to do, you can search for associate companies as well. I mean, we have that within our alumni where people are really helpful and they kind of work with each other, and we obviously give recommendations. But I say, if you think this is something you're going to do, find people who are doing it and speak to them as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anisha. Anyone else happy to come and ask Ruth a question? No? Okay. So thank you everybody for joining, and thank you, Ruth. I think sort of my last question to you, Ruth, would be, if someone leaves this session thinking, I am really interested, what are some steps that they could take next in terms of moving this forward? And if they were interested in talking to you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Okay, so type into Google Optimus. Oh, it's behind me. Optimus Coach Academy. It will take you to our website. We've got a taster session where we're going to talk about more on Friday. You don't have to join live. So if you want to watch the replay, you can watch the replay if you register. Also on there's a book a call button. There's also a WhatsApp you can use directly from there, which goes directly to our WhatsApp, so a little chat. So that is the easiest way. If you want a more simple way to remember, although I'm not writing it and my surname is a little bit unusual, Ruth at Ruth Kudzi, KUDZI.com. You can just email me there as well. But if you type in Ruth Kudzi, I am the only
You'll find her.
World. Yeah.
Just to make things easier, we will send out to everyone who's attended a note with all the contact details and the links to the website, Ruth's LinkedIn, etc. So we'll follow up with that anyway. So don't worry about not being able to get hold of Ruth. And my final question is, in terms of cohorts, if someone wanted to join, how often do they run and when's the next one?
So our professional, they run 3 times a year. We've got one starting in the week commencing the 6th of October, and then it's February and May. Our associate, they run every other month. So we've just started one. So our next one is November, then January, March, May, July, September. So every other month. So
your next one is November. So if somebody was interested in getting going fast, they could start in November.
Yeah.
Or in the new year in January, if that's whatever. Okay, if that works better. Okay, brilliant. Well, I mean, I've heard this before, and I always say it. I always, every time I hear it, it's like, oh, it's a brilliant opportunity for people. I love what you do. I love Optimus coaching and the programs that you run, and I think that working with you is a blessing. I think that you can go and get coaching anywhere and call yourself a coach, but to have access to someone like Ruth is another level. And so that's why people that work with Ruth and coach through Optimus do so well. So I think that have a conversation. Obviously, there's no obligation to anything here. This is just an exploratory call to find out whether it's right for you. And if Ruth and Optimus are the right match for you, etc. So have as many conversations, do your research, reach out to Ruth, and I hope that everyone found that really useful. I really enjoyed it, and I think that we covered a lot. So hopefully you're all going away with some good takeaways. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you all. So thank you, Katie, as well.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.